Morning, everybody. All right. So a little more decisive movement lower and noted there on the intro slide you saw a weekly bull sandwich reversal pattern maybe forming. Oh, you might be saying, what kind of sandwich? Are we going to get together and have a hero or something? Well, this is something Dan coined many years ago with another individual that must have been very hungry. But what it is, and when they arrange expansion bars as well as reversal bars, it's quite powerful. And powerful, I mean reliable as a signal. And so what we had was 2 weeks ago was a reversal to the downside. We're looking at the S&P futures charts. All right, I haven't missed that in a while, but thank you so much for reminding me. So there we go. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. So here we have it. I'm looking at the S&P futures, and prices got extended. When prices got extended at the end of the year, we said it's reasonable to have a correction. Is the correction going to be a pullback? Is the correction going to be sideways? So depending on where we're looking, so far it's still sideways. But by the end of this week, it's going to be of great interest to see whether this bar that's developing is down here. And so we got this range expansion red bar. And then last week we got the green bar. It flipped back up. And it's like, okay, that's a continuation pattern. And I made mention, I know in the weekend letter, I don't know if I did yesterday or whatever here, that continuation patterns are less reliable after prices have a run up like this and are extended. Whereas if you get them down here, or something like this, they're highly reliable at the beginning of a move, whereas at what could be the end of the move, what suggests the end of the move, prices getting extended into a resistance area, which they're there. And so now as we wait for a definitive pattern, that was part of our discussion yesterday, it's beginning to take shape. It's not quite there yet, but beginning to take shape. So as you see, S&P is beginning to roll over here. This is my drawing a week or so ago to say, hey, is this a head and shoulders top in the making? And of course, this would have to, come down here and then eventually break through what's called the neckline. We'll see, or whether this just turns out or may turn out to be a wide, whippy trading range. We'll have to see how that evolves. Right now, this looks like a pretty reasonable setup after multiple days of going sideways at this resistance and an inability to push above and now moving down, that it should continue to move down into a void. Oh, let's do it over here on the hourly chart so we can see more data. All right, so here is the support to the left, and give or take, and we're not looking for exact points. And it made an attempt off of that low. And let's even go all the way down here, okay? It makes an attempt off of the low. It hits a minor resistance area and it flips right back down again. Now, having moved the extent that it does, so far it's going sideways. And unless it has a substantial bounce to the upside, well, our bias has to be that it's going to go lower. So the economic numbers are out. Retail sales were wow, which yesterday I mentioned, well, they probably should be because of the holidays. So there's no surprise. And at 9 o'clock, you got, and 9:15, three Fed chairs speaking. So, it may get whippy at 9:15. There's industrial production, capacity utilization, and other economic numbers. So it's not, a for sure home run that this thing's just going to collapse here, but it might. So you might need to be nimble or quick or stand aside if it goes too fast. That's the reality. And from an intermediate term point of view, we're interested in what happens down here at the end of the week. And maybe we'll get to talk about that a little bit more in MT Live today, which is Wednesday today at 12 o'clock. So there we're at. Let's look at the markets, look at the gap, stabilize. It's gapping under yesterday's low. Yeah. There's a 20-year auction. There's a 17-week auction at 11:30, 1 o'clock, beige book at 2 o'clock, Fed Williams at 3 o'clock. So it could be a ping pong day. So don't get too set, but hey, follow the trend. See what happens. But it could be some whipsaws along the way. Gapping under yesterday's low, and there's a gapping under the bottoming tail bar low. It's right. A little bit, huh? You can see the cursor on the 5-minute. Nothing of significance. So again, other than the whipsaws that might occur, I'm looking at the cursor on the hourly chart there too. It's that bottoming tail bar. This low tested this area here. So as this begins to roll over, it begins to increase our view or bias that prices could continue down here, since it's created these support areas that are now beginning to fail. All right, SPX. All right. Okay. So the idea yesterday of getting premium at or above 4,800 did play out as markets went up, and there was enough premium there to get above 4,800. Some more aggressive, got larger premium, and it worked out as things went down. So sometimes we can call these levels pre-market. Other times you need to wait a little bit to see, what's going to happen. Like this morning, you got premium down here at 46.90. And just see here, which is below 4,700, which is a good thing. And so if prices continue to drop, look, and I don't know that they will, nobody does, but if they do, if the premiums increase, below this pivot, that would be good. So maybe 46, 50. Some of you might think, well, why would there be enough premium down there? Well, because these things get juiced up pretty fast. And so that's why you want to get as far away as possible, which would seem almost impossible that it could get there. And if it could line up with some support, and so you got that pivot down there at 46.80, which is a good thing, and for it to fall all the way down there. So getting below at least 46.80. Right? There's premium at 46.90, but if it takes a dive, in the first half hour or so, getting below that 46.80 would be great. Right? Okay. Qs. And where's the gap? Gapping down to the bottoming tail bar. It was in the gap fill area going sideways. So starting to break down, same thing. And same idea of what it's going to do by the end of the week. As we look at this wide range bar here, if it stays in that upper half, we're looking at, okay, tech is holding up. NVIDIA broke out to all-time highs. AMD broke out. Semiconductors came back strong, a lot of them. Some of them are doing nothing, like AMD and LRCX. So it's selective. But, if some of these can hold up really well, we might have a situation which we haven't had in a while, where a certain market looks pretty darn good still and others look pretty weak, and it gets kind of confusing. Anyway, we'll see how it unfolds. Transports we talked about yesterday being weaker. And so now what we want to do here is keep an eye on the weakest. We don't want to, and when I say the weakest, my view goes toward them stabilizing. And could they potentially set up longs? It's unknown yet. This is already down at this major support level in the 50 MA. The weekly forming not a nice great one because it's at the bottom of a wide range bar, but the momentum could slow and this could turn up as well as IWM. Find it. WM. And that continued to fall, and now it is almost on its 50 MA, not quite there. So it needs to go down some more. But this doesn't look really that bad. I mean, it's correcting, but major support is down here, and maybe it keeps going. So you want to keep an eye on the transports and the Russell because they tend to be the weaker and lead during a correction. In a bull market, they begin to outperform. So while some would call this a bull market, it's far from when you think about or talk about the breadth and how broad the advance is. YM, getting to it, getting to it. Yeah, so YM is now rolled over. We talked about this, and does it break down under here? And so this was the strongest of the advances. Look, one pivot. There's one here. This is your continuation pattern. Now, rather than a bull type sandwich, you've got a rounding top here, which is a distribution pattern. And maybe we wouldn't really call it a head and shoulders top because usually a head and shoulders top has a little bit more of an accentuated head there and then the right shoulder. But whatever you want to call it, it's rolling over and it's got room to go down. There's a void here. So what has more potential to go lower? What was stronger? What has less potential to go down, but still could go down? Transports and the Russell. They're closer to support. It's really common sense. There's the Russell futures, breaking already. They're at the 50. I think they'll probably get down to the 200 before they turn around. And Qs, there you go, same kind of scenario. And you see they're bouncing a little bit. Bitcoin, news is out. They got their ETFs, yada, yada. And breakout failure. It's on major support. So far, it's correcting sideways, but this could start to roll over as well before it's at support. Talked about this, talked about it as far as what's going to get this thing correcting. Would we get a W or this going to continue up? And you can see interest rates, they're up at that high there. And, this is starting to push up. So uncertainty about the Fed, soft landing, 6 cuts, maybe 3 cuts. Maybe there won't be any cut as soon as some might like. And it's just that retail sales thing number. Get a W pattern on the 5-year. So everybody knows that this market has had to correct a bit after that move last year. We'll see how far it goes. What gets hit worse? What gets hit less? That's our jobs. Gold, not doing anything. It is near all-time highs, but so far just not doing anything. Just flip-flopping around. Have your alerts. We watch it every day. Silver isn't doing much. Nothing to do with that. Too much nearby support and there's resistance. So nothing to do there. Crude oil can't get out of its own way. Still within this flip-flopping trading range. So nothing to do there, but oil stocks are weakening as this is beginning to, some hopes of going up begin to dash, but it hasn't broken down. There's no wide range bar breakdowns here, and it's on support. So it's just not a desirable setup until something else happens, unless you want to give it a, really big stop. There's just nothing really to do. And let's just take a look at here, SMHs. So what I mentioned yesterday in the green room, for those that might recall or listening to me, I said, be careful with this kind of a bar that forms on a move up into resistance and you get a range expansion bar. It could keep going up. It seems unlikely based on what we've seen here pre-market. More likely what happens is it forms an inside day and then you get a breakout bar failure and it'll trade under that inside bar tomorrow. Or can it take out that low tomorrow? Right now, we've got the inside bar. You can see where it's trading, but the discrepancy between a couple of stocks doing well, AMAT and NVIDIA, and not AMAT, NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, and LRCX and AMAT and some others sitting there attempting to go up and failing, the potential for this to be join the bearish scenario that seems to be unfolding begins to take more shape. So we'll see how it unfolds. You've got some guidelines to guide you and set alerts. And other than that, hand it over to Dan, but make sure you're in MT Live today. We're going over some pretty good stuff.
You want to tell them what that good stuff is?
No, they'll have to log in and find out. Maybe, that's it'll be good. I'm joking around.
I remember in the green room yesterday, we were talking about we were shorting individual stocks, regardless of the market, just like we buy bullish stocks with questionable markets. But I was saying, look, the diamonds here is a breakdown, Climo weekly, big old void. So 30-minute low. This is a short idea. This one in IWM, you can look at the hourlies and they're obviously the weakest, but this one, I like it to slowly go to the 15 and turn for a long setup, buy setup weekly. But diamonds, I think, has more room to fall. Alarms here, Mattel. All right, so Greg, look at this. Pre-market low 17. I got us out of half at 1701 pre-market. So we were short this from yesterday, and look at that. That's a nice gain. So we're out of half of that. Iridium here gapping down. That's nice, just slow chug, bearish 15-minute chart. You got a void on the daily. So that looks great. SFM we're long, and I had an up alarm up here. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Mattel. You mean pre-market? You could close the whole thing pre-market? All right, cool. Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful game. Just I tell people sometimes just put tape over the price. We're visual traders, and that's a nice target. I mean, look at the size of that gap. I mean, here is an earnings gap, but the whole this whole 2 months in here, this is a big move. So yeah, I tightened stuff 30-minute high on the back half. Boeing here, I've been watching for a couple days now. I'm just waiting for a reversal. I saw in one of the news things, there was FAA said they inspected 40 of them. And so I immediately started looking, saying, all right, well, what's the verdict? And then the guy said, oh, well, now they'll start studying the data. So I have no idea what made it perk here, but this is a beautiful pattern. If this looks like this at 10 a.m., then that's a 30-minute high, 1, 2, 3. And then today's Wednesday, so we have 3 full days for Friday expiration. I'm not sure I trust a put spread quite yet because this is such power. If this were Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I'd feel better. But we'll analyze it and come back to it. Look at a couple of earnings here. I didn't see much, anything of interest. 84 bucks. Gap and a support right there. We'll see what it does. Volt, I said yesterday, if it opens flat, that looks like a day trade short. Same with HWC. This one, I don't see much volume, but 80 and change. That's a big gap, not a good one for a new trade. PLD, I don't see any trades. Schwab. Oh, it really accelerated here. Free market. Okay, and let's say this one interests me more just because it's down more. So let's put Schwab in this middle chart. So that's the only one of interest so far. USB still looks lower. CFG down a buck looks lower, but it's just not good entries. Here's some miscellaneous stuff. BG, I think, had earnings too. Sporting goods. That looked horrible. This was I always like, my eye just immediately gravitates to great trades. And look at this one. This was a sell setup on the weekly in a downtrend. And look at this little 1, 2, 3 continuation short right here after a breakout failure. And that is perfect multiple time frame alignment for a short right there. See that, Dodge? Just a no-brainer. Yeah, John, that's what I just went through earnings stocks. PI, yeah, that's on my list right here. 92 bucks. It's a buy on a pullback. I mean, it's a big gap to get on board at the market open. So there's PI. ALB. Why am I looking at you? It was in the news of some sort. Pergus. 55.50. Right to resistance, but we'll see what it does. Let's see. I don't see any gap, but that's a buy setup that should. It was on my list right here. Well, I don't see it. It's not liquid, Alex. I ignore it unless I can see it. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's not liquid. There's no chart here of it, pre-market. I remember this was on my list right here, a buy setup at 50%, minor support, 20 MA, and it just kept grinding lower. All right, but I'll put it on the list. JetBlue, the judge announced no go on the merger, and man, oh man, look how volatile that got. Poor save needs some saving. Look at this. The article said, the journal said there was just big block of dumpage. Get me out of this. I think they call it in the world POS. Dodge, the big block. Get me out of this POS. Which don't think crazy, Alex. POS stands for position. I have no idea what you were thinking. POS. All right, I went through these news things. I went through earnings. Here's some other. All right, so here's some other things on Sam and Alex lists. They ride in the back of the bus together. So I kind of lumped their trades together. All right, TMAS, Alex mentioned yesterday, bullish consolidation and a power uptrend. With the market gapping down, it's good to this is excellent test for relative strength. But let's see what TMUS does with the market gap down. Alpha Romeo, short list, breakout failure, closing breakdown, 180 sell setup weekly. The only thing I don't like is its end of day decline. But if it opened flat, has room to gap fill. True. At resistance, we'll see what relative strength it does. Vicky, Greg mentioned. So I'm going to put this on my list similar to Boeing, meaning it's just getting dumped. We'll see where it turns. I don't care where. I mean, there's a very high probability we will trade you. It's just a matter of when. Estee Lauder. Now this one, it's on Alex's list. This one I would have loved yesterday. 5, 10, 15-minute low. Look at that. End of day base, small gap down, wide range bar, breakdown on the daily. So I point out no-brainer trades, even if we miss them. Why? Because it's another memory in your memory. That's why. So the next time you see the picture, it's like, oh, I know this picture. Am I short a 10-minute low? All right, semis were really strong yesterday. So Alex, I set an alarm at 84.70, I think. Let me set one on the other computer too. We did AMAT put spread yesterday. 84.70. All right, I got alarms going off here. Look for bell. CNP. CNP. I posted this. No, I did not post it, but I set an alarm. Here this is or did I post it? No, I don't think I posted it because I wasn't quite sure that the price void. Price void is what concerned me here, although it's a beautiful 1, 2, 3. All right, milk-in alarm. All right, so this one, Sam's list. Let's do 5-minute low milk-in. There's a gap under the entry. BCE alarm. Oh, that's one. Oh, I canceled that pre-market. BCE. LNT alarm, low alarm. All right, this one's good to go. This one has a better void than the other one. Let's just short. Let's under 40 let's just do it under 49.89. Or it's actually a go. It's fine. LNT a go. Looks great. So see, Alex, the A/B test. This is also a 1, 2, 3, but I like the void better on this one than CMP. So let me get through alarms here before I. All right, so we're getting. Wow, this is opposite of yesterday. The Qs are the weakest here with a wide range bar. On the 5-minute, and the diamonds are up. So I immediately look at my Dow 30, and Boeing's up $3. And UNH $3. Everything else. This could be a day trade. That's a nice 15-minute chart. 30-minute high UNH is a day trade long. I'm not rushing in any longs for sure. AD line actually gapped under yesterday's low. Our SF